We've received breaking news from Buckingham Palace, which has announced that the King has been diagnosed with cancer.
The palace made the announcement today and says the cancer was discovered during diagnostic tests done after his procedure for an enlarged prostate.
It's no secret that King Charles is suffering from a serious illness. And now, it seems the weight of the royal family's challenges has taken a toll on his wife, Queen Camilla. In a shocking and emotional moment caught on live TV, the Queen was seen breaking down in tears while the couple were on a tour of Australia and Samoa, leaving audiences worldwide stunned. But what led to this rare public display of vulnerability from a woman known for her composure? Was it the ongoing health struggles of her husband, or something much more personal? Let's get into it. The emotional farewell that made Queen Camilla cry. In February this year, the King of Britain, King Charles, shared with the world that he had been diagnosed with cancer. This announcement was met with concern, but also admiration for his openness. Despite the challenges of undergoing treatment, the king has continued to fulfill his royal duties. One of his most recent commitments was a huge 10-day royal tour of Australia and Samoa, which concluded in late November.
King Charles and Queen Camilla have arrived in Samoa on the second leg of their royal tour, the biggest overseas trip for King Charles since his cancer diagnosis.
The tour ended with an emotional farewell where the Queen, Camilla, cried during a traditional Ava ceremony in the Samoan village of Sumu. Before we get into why the Queen cried, let's talk about what the Ava ceremony is and what exactly was so emotional about it. The Ava ceremony is a traditional Samoan ritual that holds deep cultural and spiritual importance. It is a formal gathering where a drink called Ava is prepared and shared as a symbol of unity, respect, and goodwill. The ceremony is often used to welcome important guests, mark special occasions, or solidify relationships within the community. Its roots go back centuries, reflecting the rich heritage and traditions of Samoa. For King Charles and Queen Camilla, attending this ceremony during their visit was not only an honor, but also a deeply moving experience. The ceremony took place in the village of Sumu, where the royal couple was warmly received by the locals. The villagers had gone to great lengths to prepare for their arrival, decorating the roadsides and homes to create a festive and welcoming atmosphere. The event was rich in cultural rituals, including traditional songs, dances, and speeches, which added to the emotional weight of the occasion. The Ava itself, made from the roots of the kava plant, was carefully prepared and shared among the participants in a prescribed order. The act of sharing the Ava is seen as a way to establish mutual respect and honor, making it a profound moment for everyone involved. During the ceremony, King Charles was bestowed the honorary title of Tuo, a title that signifies respect and acceptance within Samoan culture. The gesture deeply moved the king, who expressed his heartfelt appreciation to the villagers, saying he will always remain devoted to this part of the world and hope that he survives long enough to come back again and see them. His words touched many hearts, and they showed both his love for the region and the reality of his ongoing health battle. The villagers of Sumu also made it clear how much they appreciated the royal visit. The village chief spoke about the history of royal connections with Samoa, recalling visits by King Charles's late father, Prince Philip, as well as his brothers.
King Charles has been made a High Chief of Samoa during his visit to the Pacific Island. It's the latest stop on the King and Queen's 11-day royal tour.
The chief thanked the king for making time to visit and noted how the royal presence had lifted their house and community. But things don't end there. Queen Camilla also played a huge role during the ceremony, standing by her husband with visible emotion. Some reports suggested that she was crying tears of laughter during a lighter moment of the event, while others noted her tears were a response to the deeply touching atmosphere. Queen Camilla has been a cornerstone of support for King Charles during this challenging time. According to reports, she has encouraged the king to find moments of rest and relaxation amid his busy schedule. The media noted that at Queen Camilla's urging, King Charles has been taking some downtime by reading a great new book, which has provided a welcome distraction from the stresses of his role and health issues. Their relationship has grown even stronger during this period, with courtiers describing them as an amazing team. Queen Camilla has been praised for keeping things real for the king, ensuring he remains grounded and focused despite the pressures he faces. The royal couple's connection to the people of Samoa was evident, and their presence brought joy and pride to the community. The entire event also showed how the king and queen, despite their busy schedules and personal challenges, are still committed to maintaining relationships with nations across the Commonwealth. The tour itself was seen as a major test of King Charles's reign.
This evening I am delighted to mark the renewal of our enduring friendship,
particularly given his health condition. Since his cancer diagnosis in February,
which has announced that the king has been diagnosed with cancer.
The king has been undergoing treatment while maintaining a demanding royal agenda. For this international tour, he traveled with 2 doctors to ensure he could manage his health while fulfilling his commitments. Reports indicate that his treatment is progressing well.
King Charles has been released from the hospital after undergoing a procedure for an enlarged prostate,
allowing him to perform his duties without much interruption. The successful completion of this tour, which included engagements in Australia before reaching Samoa, was a proof of dedication as a monarch. Although some people think Queen Camilla's emotional outburst was linked to her husband's health status, there have been a few suggestions that it could also be due to her poor health status as well. But what exactly is wrong with the Queen's health? Let's get into it. How Queen Camilla's health status contributed to her emotional outburst. Just recently, news came out that Queen Camilla had been battling pneumonia.
Well, Queen Camilla has revealed the chest infection, which caused her to miss several royal duties, was a form of pneumonia,
a respiratory illness that can be particularly dangerous for individuals in her age group. At 77 years old, Camilla has faced immense physical and emotional pressures, which may have contributed to her health challenges. Pneumonia is often associated with symptoms like fatigue, coughing, and difficulty breathing, and it can leave the body feeling weak and vulnerable. For Camilla, the illness seemed to be a result of being overworked and physically exhausted, a condition exacerbated by her demanding royal duties. Throughout the year, Queen Camilla had been juggling a lot of workload, stepping in for both King Charles and Kate Middleton during various royal engagements. Her dedication to the monarchy has been widely recognized, but it has come at a cost. Friends close to the Queen have expressed concern, pointing out that her relentless schedule likely weakened her immune system, leaving her susceptible to illness. One insider mentioned how getting pneumonia at the Queen's age is no small thing. They also talked about how the Queen was run down and vulnerable, and she needs to be cared for as well. Adding to the strain was her support for King Charles, who himself has been battling cancer since early this year. The couple went on a royal tour of Australia and Samoa in October, a trip that proved to be both physically and emotionally taxing. While King Charles traveled with medical support, including 2 doctors, the stress of the journey appeared to have taken a toll on Camilla as well. A source shared that at 77, to be shipped off to the other side of the world to shake hands with thousands of people when your husband has cancer is, quite frankly, too much to ask. The challenges didn't stop there. Camilla's commitment to her role meant that she continued to participate in royal engagements, even as her health deteriorated. In November this year, she attended a state dinner in place of Kate Middleton, who was also recovering from health issues. Although Camilla had taken a step back from some outdoor events to focus on her recovery, her presence at such high-profile occasions showed her determination to fulfill her royal responsibilities despite her condition. This relentless schedule of public appearances and private pressures led many to worry about her well-being. Friends noted that Camilla never aspired to be queen and had not anticipated the demanding nature of the role. The Queen has also received sympathy from the general public. The main sentiment people have been echoing is the fact that many people forget that Camilla never set out to be queen. She just happened to fall in love with a prince. These people believe that the Queen has risen to the demands of the job, but that doesn't make the whole thing any less exhausting. But this isn't the only time the Queen's health has been threatened. Over the years, Camilla has battled illnesses that posed huge threats to her well-being. These health issues, some of which were life-threatening, have shaped her resilience and deepened the admiration many have for her. One of the most notable health scares in Camilla's life occurred in 2010. At the time, she developed a severe sinus infection that caused great discomfort.
Queen is currently unwell with a chest infection, for which her doctors have advised a short period of rest. The statement goes on to say that it's with great regret.
And impacted her ability to carry out her royal duties. Perhaps one of the most alarming moments in Camilla's health history was in 2022, when she contracted COVID-19. The global pandemic had already impacted countless lives, and for someone in her 70s, getting the virus was a huge problem. Camilla's diagnosis was a source of concern for the royal family and the public. Fortunately, she received excellent medical care and made a full recovery. As with her previous illnesses, the pneumonia diagnosis served as a wake-up call for those close to the Queen. Doctors advised her to take time to rest and recover, especially as the colder months approached. Her friends hoped that the Christmas season would provide an opportunity for her to slow down, while being thankful that she seems to have recovered. According to this friend, Camilla just needs to rest and recuperate now over Christmas, and they only hope they drive her and the king to church on Christmas Day if it's cold. Despite these concerns, Camilla has continued to be a pillar of strength for King Charles. Their relationship has grown even closer in the face of these challenges. Reports have described the couple as a remarkable unit, with Camilla offering unwavering support to her husband during his cancer treatment. She has also encouraged him to take breaks and focus on activities that bring him comfort, such as reading. This dynamic has further solidified their bond, with sources noting that the king feels closer to his wife than ever. Now back to the Queen crying at the Ava ceremony. Most people believe that the emotional outburst witnessed during the ceremony in Samoa may have been a reflection of the cumulative stress and strain Camilla has been under. The ceremony itself was a very emotional moment, filled with cultural importance and heartfelt expressions of gratitude. For Camilla, who was already struggling with her own health issues and the weight of her husband's diagnosis, the event likely served as a release of pent-up emotions. It's important to recognize that Camilla's health challenges are not isolated incidents, but part of a larger pattern of overwork and under-rest. As a royal, she has faced immense public scrutiny and the constant pressure to perform. Yet behind the scenes, she is simply a woman trying to navigate her role while caring for herself and her loved ones. As the year draws to a close, there is hope that Queen Camilla will have the chance to prioritize her health and well-being. The Christmas season offers a moment for reflection, rest, and renewal. With the support of her family and friends, she can focus on regaining her strength and continuing her invaluable role within the monarchy. Well, what do you think about Queen Camilla's recent emotional outburst? Do you believe she started crying due to the poor state of health she and her husband are experiencing? What exactly did Paul reveal? Has his revelations changed the way the world views Princess Diana and her legacy? Let's get started. The fateful night of Princess Diana's death. Before we get into what Paul had to say about Princess Diana after she died, we need to first know how she died, and if the reason for her death was why Paul broke his silence in the first place. Everyone who knew Princess Diana, personally or not, loved her.
She was the most loved member of the royal family, if she still is even a member of the royal family. She's the one that I think we all connected with.
She was an incredible princess whose beauty and sweet personality made people all around the world fans of the crown. But one fateful day, everything changed. On the night of August 31st, 1997, something terrible happened that many people will never forget. Princess Diana, a woman loved by millions around the world for her kindness and work for good causes, died in a car crash in Paris. She was only 36 years old.
The crash in a Paris tunnel that killed Princess Diana, Dodi Al-Fayed, and their driver, Henri Paul, was the fault of the driver, drunk and speeding away from the chasing paparazzi.
This event happened when she was trying to escape from photographers who were following her. Princess Diana was with her boyfriend, Dodi Fayed, at the time. Dodi was the son of a very rich man named Mohammed Al-Fayed. The couple had spent the evening together and were trying to get away from all the attention that surrounded them. That night, Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed had been at the Ritz Hotel in Paris. The Ritz was a famous hotel, and it was owned by Dodi's father. Diana and Dodi had been dating for a while, and many people were very interested in their relationship. The media and photographers, known as the paparazzi, were always trying to take pictures of them. Earlier that day, they had enjoyed some time together on a boat, relaxing on the French Riviera. But when they returned to Paris, they were once again followed by the paparazzi. This constant attention from photographers made their lives difficult. In the evening of August 30th, Diana and Dodi had dinner at a fancy restaurant inside the Ritz Hotel. After their meal, they decided it was time to leave. But they knew that many photographers were waiting for them outside the front entrance of the hotel. To avoid them, they made the choice to leave through the back door instead of the front. They hoped this would help them get away without being followed. Despite their efforts, the paparazzi found out about their plan and followed them as soon as they left. Diana and Dodi got into a black Mercedes-Benz car. The driver of the car was a man named Henry Paul. Henry Paul worked at the Ritz Hotel, and he was the one driving them that night. There was also a bodyguard in the car with them named Trevor Reese Jones. Henry Paul was driving the car because they wanted to leave quickly and escape from the photographers. The group hoped to reach Dodi's apartment, which was not far from the hotel. They thought that if they could get there fast, they could avoid the paparazzi and have some peace. But the photographers did not give up. They followed the car on motorcycles and in other cars, determined to get pictures of Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed. As the car sped through the streets of Paris, Henry Paul tried to lose the photographers by driving faster and taking different routes. The situation became dangerous as the car was moving very quickly through the city. They eventually entered a tunnel called the Pont de l'Alma Tunnel. This is where things took a turn for the worst. In the tunnel, Henry Paul lost control of the car. The car crashed into a pillar inside the tunnel at high speed. The impact of the crash was devastating. The front of the car was crushed, and the people inside were seriously hurt. When emergency services arrived, they tried to help everyone involved.
2 phone calls came early on and told me that there had been an accident, and clearly I needed to get to the hospital quickly.
Sadly, Dodi Fayed and Henry Paul were pronounced dead at the scene. Princess Diana was still alive but in critical condition. She was rushed to a nearby hospital, where doctors did everything they could to save her. Despite their efforts, Princess Diana died a few hours later from her injuries. The only person who survived the crash was the bodyguard, Trevor Reese Jones, though he was badly hurt as well. The news of Princess Diana's death spread quickly, and people all over the world were shocked and heartbroken.
The Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident, and that her partner, Dodi Fayed, has also been killed. They were apparently being pursued by paparazzi on 2 motorcycles.
Many could not believe that someone as beloved as Diana could be gone so suddenly. Diana was laid to rest at her family's estate, Althorpe, in Northamptonshire, England. Her grave is located on a small island in the middle of a lake. Her family wanted this place to be a peaceful resting place, away from the public eye. Even though Diana was no longer with them, her legacy lived on. Her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, have continued her charitable work in many ways, carrying on the causes that were important to their mother. Princess Diana's death was a tragic and sudden event that changed many lives. It showed the dangers of the intense media attention that surrounded her life, as well as the impact she had on so many people. Even today, many years later, people still remember Princess Diana with love and respect. Since her death, there have been tons of rumors of what really happened in that tunnel, but none of these rumors were confirmed. This meant that nobody knew what exactly happened that fateful night. Well, that is until recently when Diana's butler himself, Paul Burrell, came out with some truths about the princess's private life. But what exactly did Paul have to say? Let's find out. Conspiracy theories about Diana's death and Paul's shocking revelations. After Princess Diana died, at first, the crash was seen as a tragic accident caused by the driver, who had been drinking, and the paparazzi who were chasing the car. But over time, some people began to believe that there might be more to the story. They wondered if the crash had been planned on purpose, and some even thought that people in powerful positions, possibly connected to the royal family, might have been involved. One of the reasons that these conspiracy theories started was because of a letter that was written by Princess Diana herself. This letter, which became very famous later on, was written by Diana in 1995, about 2 years before her death.
The bombshell letter is said to have been written by Princess Diana herself just 2 years before her tragic death.
Diana alleged that her husband, Prince Charles, was planning to stage a car crash.
In the letter, Diana expressed her fears that something bad might happen to her. She wrote that she believed that there were people who wanted to get rid of her, and she even mentioned that she thought they might try to cause her to have a car accident. When this letter became public, many people were very shocked. They began to wonder if Diana's death had been more than just an accident. Despite these rumors, the official investigations into Diana's death concluded that the crash was just a tragic accident. The first investigation was conducted by the French authorities. They looked into what happened that night and found that the driver of the car, Henri Paul, had been drinking alcohol and was driving too fast. They also noted that the paparazzi were chasing the car, which put pressure on Henri Paul to drive even faster. The French investigation concluded that these factors led to the crash and that it was not planned. But the conspiracy theories did not go away. In fact, they seemed to grow stronger over time. Many people were not satisfied with the explanation that the crash was an accident. They continued to believe that there might have been more to the story. In response to these concerns, another investigation was launched in the United Kingdom. This investigation was called Operation Paget. It was led by the British police, and it looked into all the different conspiracy theories that had been circulating since Diana's death. Operation Paget began in 2004, about 7 years after the crash.
The probe was launched by the British Metropolitan Police in 2004 as part of the investigation into the various conspiracy theories surrounding Diana's death in 1997.
The investigation was very thorough and took several years to complete. The goal of Operation Paget was to determine whether there was any truth to the conspiracy theories, or if the crash had truly been an accident. As part of the investigation, the police looked at all the evidence, including Diana's letter, the events leading up to the crash, and the actions of everyone involved. In 2006, the findings of Operation Paget were released. The investigation concluded that there was no evidence to support the conspiracy theories. Like the French investigation, Operation Paget found that the crash was caused by the driver, Henri Paul, who had been drinking and was driving too fast. The report also mentioned the role of the paparazzi, who were chasing the car and making the situation even more dangerous. Operation Paget did not find any evidence of a plan to murder Princess Diana, and it stated that the crash was a tragic accident. Despite the conclusions of Operation Paget, some people continued to believe in the conspiracy theories. They pointed to Diana's letter as evidence that she knew something bad was going to happen to her. They also raised questions about other aspects of the crash, such as the actions of the French authorities and the response of the emergency services. For example, some people wondered why it took so long for Diana to be taken to the hospital after the crash. Others questioned the role of the British intelligence services and whether they might have been involved in some way. That's where Diana's butler, Paul Burrell, came in. Princess Diana's life was always in the spotlight, but there were many things about her that the public didn't know. After her tragic death in 1997, more details about her private life started to come out. One of the people who shared many of these details was her former butler, Paul Burrell. He worked for Diana for many years and was very close to her. His revelations about her private life surprised many people and gave a deeper understanding of who Diana was behind the scenes. These stories also showed the challenges she faced and the kind of person she was when she was not in front of the cameras. Paul Burrell began working for the royal family in the 1980s. At first, he worked for Queen Elizabeth II, but later, in 1987, he started working for Princess Diana. He became one of her closest and most trusted staff members. Diana once called him her rock, which showed how much she relied on him. Paul saw many of the private moments in Diana's life, and he was there for her during some of her most difficult times. He was by her side as she navigated her marriage, her role as a mother, and her very public life. One of the key revelations Paul made about Diana's private life was about how lonely she often felt. Even though Diana was one of the most famous women in the world, she sometimes felt isolated and alone. Paul talked about how Diana would often confide in him about her feelings of sadness and loneliness. She felt that she couldn't always trust the people around her, and this made her life very difficult. He also revealed that this loneliness somehow managed to make her develop an eating disorder called bulimia. Diana's struggles were not just about her personal relationships, but also about the pressures of living such a public life. Things don't end there. Another major aspect of Diana's private life that Paul Burrell revealed was her struggle with her marriage to Prince Charles. Diana and Charles got married in 1981, and their wedding was watched by millions of people around the world.
It's 34 years now since a young woman called Diana Spencer married her prince. It was a day of memorable images, of a young couple emerging as man and wife from St. Paul's Cathedral.
However, behind the scenes, their marriage was not as perfect as it seemed. Paul shared details about how difficult things were for Diana in her marriage. She knew that Prince Charles had a close relationship with another woman, Camilla Parker Bowles, and this caused her a lot of pain. Diana once famously said in an interview that there were 3 of us in this marriage, referring to Charles, Camilla, and herself. Paul's revelations gave even more insight into how deeply this situation affected Diana. Diana's battle with mental health issues was another part of her private life that Paul spoke about. Diana struggled with bulimia, a serious eating disorder, for many years. This was something that she had to deal with in secret, even while carrying out her royal duties and maintaining her public image. Paul shared how Diana would sometimes use food as a way to cope with the stress and pressure of her life. She also had periods of deep sadness, and at times, she felt overwhelmed by everything that was happening around her. Paul's stories highlighted the emotional difficulties Diana faced, even though she always tried to put on a brave face for the public. Despite these struggles, Paul also talked about how much Diana cared about other people. She had a deep sense of compassion and empathy, and she was always looking for ways to help those who were less fortunate. Paul shared stories about how Diana would go out of her way to visit people who were sick or in need. She often did these things without any cameras or publicity because she genuinely wanted to make a difference. One of the most famous examples of this was when Diana visited patients with HIV and AIDS during a time when there was a lot of fear and stigma surrounding the disease. Paul revealed that these visits were not just for show. Diana truly cared about the people she was helping, and she wanted to show them that they were not alone. Apart from her compassion, Paul also spoke about Diana's strength and determination. Even though she faced many challenges, she was always determined to stand up for herself and for what she believed in. Paul shared how Diana worked hard to create her own path, especially after her separation from Prince Charles. She wanted to be her own person and to have her own voice, even within the constraints of the royal family. This was not always easy, but Diana was determined to make a difference in the world. Paul admired this quality in her, and he often spoke about how strong she was, even when things were very tough.
She was so iconic and so incredible and such a beautiful spirit. I still look towards that, even today.
Diana's role as a mother was another important part of her private life that Paul shared. Diana had 2 sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, and she was very dedicated to them. Paul talked about how much Diana loved her sons and how she always tried to protect them from the pressures of royal life. She wanted them to have as normal a childhood as possible, despite the fact that they were growing up in the public eye. Diana took her role as a mother very seriously, and Paul shared many stories about the lengths she would go to in order to spend time with her boys and make sure they were happy. One of the most touching stories Paul shared was about how Diana would sneak out of the palace to spend time with her sons. Even though she had a very busy schedule and was constantly in the public eye, Diana always made time for William and Harry. Paul would help her plan secret trips so that she could take them out for a day without being followed by the press. These moments were very special to Diana, and they showed how much she valued her role as a mother above everything else. After Diana's death in 1997, Paul Burrell wrote a book called A Royal Duty, in which he shared many of these stories about her private life. The book caused a lot of controversy when it was released in 2003. Some people felt that Paul should not have shared such personal details about Diana, while others appreciated the insight it provided into who she really was.